Here we go. The big moment has arrived. You're about to give that big speech. You're about to go on that date with that amazing person. You're about to meet that very important personality. And right at the wrong moment, your nerves kick in and you turn into a gibbering wreck. So how do you calm your nerves quickly so that you can do yourself justice under pressure? How do you stop being intimidated by people that you may feel judged by? Are there any physical tricks that you can use to calm yourself down quickly? I'm going to share some of my perspectives around these questions here in this video from my perspective as a confidence and impact coach with a few years of experience of helping clients achieve better outcomes in these situations. Just before we get into answering these three questions, I wanted to tell you one thing that is already very helpful for a lot of people. Often when you're nervous, but it's not completely overwhelming, it can be really helpful to think about the frame for this. You may already have come across this idea, but for a lot of people, actually just reframing nervousness as excitement is really, really helpful. Because nervousness and excitement physiologically is very, very similar. So get used to using the word excited whenever you maybe used to say, oh, I'm getting nervous. Having said that, let's get into the answers to the questions. Now, I played the violin since the age of 4.5 more or less. So I was very tiny when I started. Once in a while, I had to do a little concert or to play in front of people where they could judge me, or it was a competition or things like that. I always used to get incredibly nervous before I did these things because I didn't practice enough and I was lazy. So of course there's already a solution in there. The more you practice, the more comfortable you feel, right? So this is important for most situations when something is on the line. But the key is something is on the line. You feel that if you make a mistake, your career might suffer, your love life would suffer, your self-esteem might suffer. People might laugh at you. You might open yourself up to ridicule or being looked down on, right? So the first key is already to prepare very well. But most people make a mistake with the preparation. They focus on what they want to say or what they want to do maybe, but they forget one crucial aspect. They forget how they want to be and how they want to feel. So what I found the best way to prepare actually is to go into visualization. To visualize yourself not just doing and saying the things that you want to do and say and the people reacting to you, but also how you want to say and do them and how you want to feel in the process. Only through visualization you can really start to experience the experience in advance. And that's the thing when you have little experience in something. Let's say you're doing something for the first time, which is another reason why people get very nervous, right? We do something for the first time. It's very natural. The experience before the experience, you get it through visualization. Now, I'm going to quickly share with you how to do visualization much better than other people. Visualizing, you really want to take yourself 5 or 10 minutes. You want to find a quiet place and close your eyes and then have a little dreaming session. Picture yourself getting into that situation that you're worried about or that you might get nervous about, let's say a presentation. Picture yourself entering the stage, getting onto the stage, looking at the people. Start to imagine in detail what you see, hear, feel, smell even, and taste if you want. In your mind, start off your presentation. Then listen to how the audience reacts, take a question, and so forth. Go through all the details, but with how you want to feel in the process. Picture yourself how you stand, how you look. You can imagine it on the cinema screen and look at yourself doing the presentation and just have fun with it. Just picture it in a way that it works out really well. And you can also jump into the screen and then basically do it in first-person shooter mode if you want. If you've ever played video games, you just imagine yourself looking out to the audience and all of that. And by visualizing also how you want to feel and be, you're going to get the experience before the actual experience. So that when you're doing it and you visualize it a few times or more times, the more you do it, obviously the better. It will feel like, oh, I've done this before. It's not the first time anymore. So that's something that's helped many clients to get into a state where they find themselves in the actual situation and it's already old hat for them, right? But then there's also the situation when people intimidate us, right? What if you meet an important person or you're going on a date with somebody that you're kind of putting on a pedestal? or you are in a situation where you meet somebody that has a lot of influence over your life or your career. If they still intimidate you, all the preparation you've done might be difficult to actually put into practice because, as soon as you see them, you're like, oh, I'm nervous. I always remember my principal in drama school who was very intimidating to me because I was so into it at the time. And every time he walked around, every time I saw him, I got this little jolt inside of me. Not helpful. For this also, I recommend you use your imagination. The easiest way to de-scarify other people, to make them far less intimidating and frankly somewhat amusing, is the 3-year-old technique. And that's basically when you picture them as a 3-year-old. I recommend doing this before you meet them, and I recommend doing this during if you need it. Now, before is really good. So you just imagine what they were like as a 3-year-old, right? What they looked like, how tall they were, what they were, what kind of fits they were throwing, how many times a day they cried, and all of that stuff. You just picture them as a 3-year-old. It's a lot of fun. You're allowed to have fun with this. What are you doing in the process? In the process, you're basically shrinking them, number one. You're also connecting with them on the human level. You really make them far less intimidating, and probably you'll feel quite amused by the whole thing. I know this sounds ridiculous, and I know this sounds like something that shouldn't be in a profound video about how to overcome nerves, but it literally helps incredibly well. And the biggest problem that you might have is to control your smile or your amusement if you do this in person. And in that process, all of a sudden, do you still feel intimidated? Of course not. And if you have a group of people in front of you, just pick the most important one and picture them as a 3-year-old. It's a never-ending source of amusement for me to do this in my day-to-day life or when I really need it. So check it out, try it out, and let me know afterwards. Let's get to the physical tricks that you can do to calm yourself down. Often when we get nervous, our mind runs riot and it takes our body with it. We tense up and we have all kinds of issues, which then make us come across as having completely lost confidence. And I used to be like this all the time, honestly. There are 2 simple tricks that anybody can use to calm themselves down whenever they really need to. And it has to do with your eyes and it has to do with your breathing. Number 1, you probably have heard about peripheral vision. I've talked about this before. I can never say it enough because it is so helpful. There are 2 ways of looking through your eyes. One is focal vision, one is peripheral vision. Focal vision is when you focus on one spot, like I'm focusing on you right now. Peripheral vision is when I'm still focusing, but I'm also opening my eyes and my awareness up to the sides and everything around me. Focal vision, in terms of our development as human beings, is very much linked to danger and puts us into a state of alert. And peripheral vision is usually when we're gazing and we're just letting our eyes relax and we have an awareness of everything around us, but we're not necessarily focused on just one point. Now, very often in modern life, we stay in focal vision far too long when there's actually no danger that we need to figure out. And we can actually practice getting into peripheral vision because peripheral vision has a massively relaxing effect on the body. So, for example, if you give a speech, it can be very helpful to focus on peripheral vision first so that you can then also actually take in the crowd more and see what's going on subtly, because you're using peripheral vision. How do you get into peripheral vision? Very simple. First of all, you imagine that you want to get into peripheral vision. So you can look straight ahead, look at the camera, and what you can do is you can use your hands and put them up here to the sides and start twiddling your fingers a little bit so that you notice what's going on there. And step by step, you will become more aware of what you're doing there. You can also move them further back and see how much it opens up the sense that you get when you are opening up your vision. And then you'll probably notice that your breathing will relax a little bit, like just mine, how it just has done. And you start to feel your eyes getting more relaxed and everything getting more relaxed. And the way you speak probably will be affected, and you will feel more connected to your surroundings in general and not so much on high alert. If you go to the bathroom before an important speech, or you go to the bathroom before a date and you want to get into peripheral vision, this is the way to do it. Now, secondly, breathing. The key thing is with breathing, I simplify this down as much as I can. Breathing, the more you breathe out, the more relaxing it is. The more you breathe in, the more tensing it is. So basically, so what you want to do is you want to elongate your out breaths in general so that you get a more calming effect on you. Because, hey, danger, what are we doing? Fight or flight, right? Exactly. Sharp breath in, and then we hold our breath, and then we either run off or start fighting. When we're not in danger, and we let our eyes gaze, and we're in peripheral vision, we naturally start to relax our breathing as well. But if you want to start with a breathing, just make sure that you elongate your out breaths. You can do this with counting. So, for example, you can breathe in for 3, and then you can breathe out for 5. Or 6 in this case. 3 and 6 makes even more sense, yeah? You can also do 4 in, hold 4, and then breathe out on 8, and then hold for 2. Do this 5 times, you already feel a lot calmer. Now there's one thing that I think is even more powerful, and that is to, in your mind, prevent yourself from even starting to see other people as scary or somehow intimidating, by actually starting to think about how you think of yourself and other people in relation to you. And that's where I have a report for you on my website, which is going to really blow your mind, because it's going to help you to use assumptions, yes, vilified assumptions that people always say you shouldn't make, to use them to your advantage. And actually use and develop assumptions that make you feel confident in any situation. If you want to check that out, there's a link here that will take you right there. You can download it for free. Thanks for watching and commenting.